Hello everyone, new video here. Today is Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. I wanted to do a series of clips related to William Albrecht's debate with Jake Brancatella on whether Justin was a Trinitarian. I've done 3 extended parts reviewing that debate and 2 appearances with Jake. So some of the material I have that I want to put in smaller videos, clips, is clippable. Other items and some new stuff, it's not the best material to clip from what I've already done. For example, tonight's video with regard to William's miscitation, in fact. You'll see. It's unbelievable. But there are a lot of problems with William and his handling specifically of Justin Martyr, not just his theology, but his critical text, as William refers to it incorrectly. You'll see why I say that. But so I commented on his misreference to what Justin actually writes in terms of another God in part 2 of my review of William and Jake's debate. But when I was looking at it to see if it would be a good clip, the box that I was using to show you I was there covered the Greek text I was highlighting. So that plus, it didn't cover all of the references that Jake brought up earlier in his debate. Now, my part 2 review where I talk about this does discuss William's reference to the critical text in terms of what Justin wrote in Dialogue 56. But Jake actually brought up several references before William references the Parvis and Min's text and appears to be singling out Justin's dialogue with Trifle 56 and saying it says something it actually doesn't say. Either way, what I'm going to show you right now is that William Albrecht doesn't know the Greek text of Justin as well as he thinks. And he miscited it several times in his debate with Jake, but specifically on, I'm going to say HETEROS, THEOS, but I'm not making a point about a specific reference when I do so. If I am, then I will. I'll say this reference in Justin uses this specific description. But in general, I don't make a big distinction or really much at all, and some can be made, between the position of heteros relative to theos and what it means. Anyone who tells you that heteros theos means anything but another God, a different God, or a second God, those are all possible meanings and all likely meanings in Justin, is an idiot, okay, or a liar. It never, ever, ever means that. Trinitarians don't even use heteros theos later because it doesn't mean that. They want to say it means that in Justin. They're stupid or lying or both. Just like with the Bible, everyone. What you're seeing them do with Justin, like lie about another God, meaning another person, so they can change Justin's theology from 2 gods to 2 persons, a la the Trinity. It's what they do. It's what they do with the Bible. The Bible never talks about another person or God being a person of a Trinity or with another person of the Trinity, right? That's how they read it. That's how they interpret it. Doesn't even matter if it says God, right? That's why with texts like Titus 2:13, even if you told them, okay, it calls him the great God there. Because for us, that is what we believe, right? Isaiah 9:6, mighty God, all the references to him as a God, angelically representing God as a spirit, his firstborn son. The angels are gods, God and the Son say it. We've talked all about it, okay? But even if you just looked at Isaiah 9:6, there's nothing wrong with calling him a mighty God in the biblical sense in which those terms are used. For Trinitarians, they can't do that. None of those mean an individual God. Not mighty God, not the great God. None of them. Not thy throne, O God, however you want to translate. None of the references in any Trinitarian Bible that call Jesus or the Father or the Holy Spirit God mean that. They all mean just like what William is lying about Justin meaning with another God. HETEROS, THEOS. For me, again, I'm not making a point about what the Greek text says. If I am, I will say so. When I appeared on Sam's show, I was just making an offhanded reference. We didn't have the Greek text. And William tried to dispute that it said something that was totally different, when in fact I just used a synonym that Justin uses elsewhere, not to modify theos, but his position relative to the Father, and that the source Justin relies on, even according to Father Coppus and now William, Philo, neither one of whom are Trinitarian, uses that. Deuteros theos, right? With the article, even, ton deuteron theon. So either way, I knew that. To me, it's no big deal. They're synonyms to me. To William, who didn't know about Justin's reliance on Philo, Father Coppus had to educate him, I guess, right? I mean, otherwise, what was he objecting to? They believe they're both Trinitarian. Now, if he wanted to just correct me and say, hey, well, no, Justin says heteros, that's fine. I didn't dispute him, you know. If you just look at that clip, these guys are insane. I never once tried to argue Justin says deuteros theos. I just referenced it offhand as a synonym for another God, which is exactly what I actually said. I didn't even say second God. But again, to me, they're all the same. Allos, heteros, deuteros. In terms of Justin and Philo, really, and this second God theology, they're all the same. So for me, it doesn't make any difference at all. Now for William, it did, right? When I was on Sam's show, he freaked out. But now, even though he's still freaking out, he agrees with me, it seems, right? You never can really tell with this guy. He rarely cites his sources. He does so incorrectly. And then when he gets corrected, he won't admit it, right? This is the same guy who miscites Justin Martyr looking directly at him, includes a chapter heading that's openly separated by the word Justin : right? And of course, if you know Justin's text, how would you not know that? He claims to be like this patristic scholar. It's insane. He's reading it, right? It's not even something he's referencing. He's looking right at it and misquoting it, and then adding exposition to his misquotation and using it in his debate with Jake. Has he retracted that? I haven't seen William retract that at all. And if he has, please let me know. Because how could he not have done that by now? See, I just think that these guys aren't really qualified. They misreference things. They lie. I think they're frauds. Not so much Sam. I think Sam kind of stays in his realm, right? He's a liar and a pervert. But Sam, I wouldn't characterize as a fraud. William's a fraud. He's getting up here pretending he knows Greek in ways he doesn't. Okay? You should stay in your lane, William. You know a little bit enough to destroy yourself, right? It's incredible. You know enough to just totally wipe yourself out. So, and I think Sam probably knows that. And when that separation happens, you'll find out. But either way, that may never happen because of the moped twins. But on William, okay, these two, both of them, William may be a fraud and Sam not so much, but they're both liars. Okay, they can't stop lying about Justin's theology because they get too butthurt over not having the history they want to have, and others earlier than the Trinitarian creeds agreeing with us, at least in some sense, that's totally different from them, right? That literally flies in the face with what they've been condemning us over with regard to John 1:1. So we get William going bananas, saying there's a difference between heteros and theos, deuteros. There's not. They both modified theos and Justin. Deuteron, Coron, second place, and heteros, but I'll show you in a moment. So just know that William doesn't understand a lot of this stuff, and it leads to a lot of his problems, and then he can't retract it, right? Like with the chapter heading, you saw it, and so we'll see. But right here, you're going to see right now, he openly claims to know the critical Greek text and does not. He's not just referencing it offhand and saying, yeah, okay, and then someone telling him, no, it says this, and him saying, yeah, oh, okay, like I did. I never once resisted him. He said, no, it says heteros, Greg. Oh, it says heteros? Oh, okay, they mean the same thing. Oh, no, yeah, they do. So, no, they don't mean another person or a second person. They mean a second God. And they're synonyms, especially in Justin and Philo. So he's gone. Now, let me show you what he does in his debate with Jake. First, let me bring up the debate, right? So you can see right here at minute 17, second 34, Jake highlights dialogue trifo 50, 55, and 56. Okay? And then if we just go up a little bit to 1802, this is where Jake references another section in Justin, or a part of 56, where he says, and I'm going to show you why there's an issue here, where it says, who is called God is distinct from. There's a little translation issue there. May involve another heteros, theos, heteros again for me. No difference for William, though. He makes these strange claims, stands behind them like he's an expert, and he's not. He gets it wrong when he doesn't even have to bring this point up, right? Shows how sloppy he is, how much he wants to make points that he can't make, but for some reason he feels he has to. So either way, then if we move up to 2905, right, this is where Jake quotes Parvis and Mins, and you can see down at the bottom, the highlighted part, where at the very bottom, he's quoting from the Justin. This is all about Justin, right? When William's talking in a minute, he's talking about Jake's citation of Justin's use of another God, not Trifo, okay? These guys get it all wrong. But this is Parvis and Mins referencing Justin. Looks like dialogue 56. Okay, and then if we go to 38, here's William. Now listen to William and what he says.
I'm curious how. He quoted from Parvis and Minis, and yet what he quoted there is not problematic at all in the way he reads heteros theos or theos heteros in whatever form he wants to put it in. The critical text would be heteros theos. It doesn't really matter, though, being a stickler for that.
Okay, so, he chose to make an issue out of this, and he says he's a stickler for it. And he says the critical text says heteros theos. We're talking about Justin and what he wrote and what he meant by it. So now let's actually look at that. Let's go ahead and bring up what he says, the critical text says, and see if he's right. Can we rely on William? Right? I mean, he claims to be knowing these things. He's prepared for this debate, okay? This isn't William just showing up out of nowhere, being asked about what a Greek text says he doesn't have. He knows it, and Jake even showed it earlier, and the references Jake showed even listed the Greek reading, and so did Parvis and Mins, the other page, right next to that slide that I showed you from Jake. Just look at the very next one, and in the Parvis and Mins, it gives the actual Greek. So look here, though. You can see, I'll just bring this up. This is dialogue 50. Yellow is Trifo, blue is Justin. Dialogue 50, Trifo said, another God, allos theos. Dialogue 55, Trifo answered, another God, heteros theos. That's what William said, the critical text says. One problem, William. That's Trifo. You weren't talking about Trifo. Jake wasn't talking about what Trifo said, and neither was Parvis and Mins. So let's see if Justin actually says what you said the critical Greek text says when you were trying to make a cheap point by correcting Justin, or Jake, I should say, by misquoting Justin on this very basic point that you should know, William. If you know the Greek text, this is something you should know, and you claim to know, you claim to be referencing the Greek text. So right here, 56, we finally get to Justin. He uses another. I talked about this in my second appearance with Jake. Hippa alu, absolute use of alas. Doesn't use theos there. Later in chapter 56, Trifo again. They said, other God. Theos alas. Showing he made Trifos using heteros theos and theos alas synonymously. Just like I've been saying with respect to both those terms and deuteros, because again, he uses Justin, deuteron koron, second place with regard to the God that the word is relative to the Father. So then later on in chapter 56, Justin says, other God, theos heteros. And right here is one other I didn't highlight in blue, but that should be blue. That's actually the theos heteros. And the one that is blue, other God, Justin says allos theos. So just like with Trifo, he's using them synonymously. This defeats Sam's whole point as well, but we don't take him seriously on these issues. Either way, Justin does not use heteros theos. He actually uses theos heteros, just like Jake showed and like the Parvis and Mins text showed. So, and then that's it. Trifo later on in 56 does say allos ha theos. And then this is the key part I wanted to reference. The last reference, Justin says theos heteros. Again, not heteros theos. And there's a translation issue here I'm going to talk about more if I appear with Jake in the future again or in a separate video. This is translated as you can see up here, who is called God is distinct from. It really says who is called another God, or who is called another God is different from the maker of all things. You could translate it who is called God different from the maker of all things. So that's not necessarily incorrect, but you can see here theos and heteros are right next to each other. So while that's possible, it's also possible that those two terms are meant to be translated together. Either way, it's not heteros theos. And just a couple more references. In chapter 56, Justin refers to allos kyria logetai, called another Lord, some other one God and Lord, alantina thea lagain kai kyria lagain. Again, allos is used, not heteros, and not heteros theos, like William said. So, and this isn't an example of heteros or allos with theos. So William doesn't know the critical Greek text of Justin, like we know, but this is further proof of that. William, please make a retraction and apologize to Jake for misquoting Justin's chapter heading that's not his teaching and adding exposition to it as if it was in your debate with him, and for lying about what the critical Greek text of Justin says in terms of heteros theos, in terms of what Justin wrote, which is what you were discussing, which is what Jake brought up and Parvis and Mins talked about. If you could do that, William, there might be some hope. We'll give you credit if you can do that. We'll try to move forward. But if you can't, and you're just a liar, and you're going to stand by your proven, documented lies on these basic points that you didn't know and you got all wrong, then that's really unfortunate.